The Boston Bruins are back at Warrior and training camp has started. We got some news that probably made a couple of us hold our breath for a second. David Pastrnak, our superstar, one of the best wingers in the NHL, won't be on the ice for the first couple days at training camp. Sweeney says it's because of tendinitis. And while that word can sound a little scary, let's break it down. I'll explain what tendinitis is, give you some real-world examples, talk about what this means for Pasta and the Bruins, and whether fans should actually be worried. Spoiler alert, I don't think it's a big deal, but let's get into it. Here's what we know. On September 17th, 2025, Bruins GM Don Sweeney gave an update. David Pastrnak will miss the first few practices of training camp due to tendinitis, stemming from his last training block. He won't be a full participant immediately, though the team expects him to skate separately with skating and skills coach John McLean before returning to full practice early next week. As I'm recording this, it's Thursday. He skated this morning shooting pucks. He was out there for I don't know how many minutes, but he looked fine to me. The team seems confident that this is a short-term issue. A few days, not something to expect to be long-term. Now, for the non-doctors, which is myself, and if you are a doctor, please let me know in the comment, but what is tendinitis? Tendinitis refers to inflammation of the tendon. Tendons are tough bands of fibrous tissue that connect muscles to bone. Sorry about the explanation, I'm literally giving you the definition. When there is repetitive stress, overload or overuse, or inadequate recovery, small micro-injuries can lead to inflammation. I had it in my arm when I was playing hockey a lot, so it's very common. And in fact, I would believe if this was the playoffs, we wouldn't even know about it and David Pastrnak would be playing. Key symptoms: pain, often when movement, maybe swelling, tenderness, sometimes stiffness, depending on where the tendon is, knee, wrist, shoulder. It can be more or less disruptive. Now, for me, one of the things I take right off the bat is the Bruins didn't list it as an upper body or a lower body injury. They just flat out told us what it was. Usually when it's something bad, the Bruins don't really give us a lot of information and try and, hide what really has happened. Especially we learned last year with Hampus Lindholm and Charlie McAvoy. A lot of upper body, lower body injury stuff. Is it serious? In general, tendinitis is not among the worst injuries, i.e. like a full tear, broken bone, major surgery, but not serious. Doesn't mean trivial. If untreated or aggravated, it can worsen, become chronic, interfere with performance, or in worst case, even lead to denigration or risk of a tear. And that's why I think the Bruins are being cautious here. I think David Pastrnak still skating and not taking full reps in training camp is just the Bruins saying, hey, he is literally all we have with regards to scoring goals. Let's give him a break. Severity depends a lot on the location, how long it's been going on, how much rest and treatment the player gets, and how they load the tendon back. What's the recovery time? For mild tendinitis, recovery often takes a few weeks. Rest, reduced load, and anti-inflammatory methods, physical therapy, stuff like that. So I'm sure the Bruins are doing all of that with David Pastrnak. If it's a foot or ankle, they're going to go to a specialist. More moderate cases might take a month or two. Severe or chronic tendon issues can last several months, but we don't know here. And for that, best practices include rest or reduced load, cold ice, maybe anti-inflammatories, physical therapy to restore strength, flexibility, reduce strain, and then gradual return to full load. So the fact that David Pastrnak was on the ice today, that means to tell me that it has nothing to do with the lower body. It's probably something to do with his upper body. Maybe he played tennis too much this summer. I don't know. I wanted to look in to see if this has ever been a case in the NHL, so I did some digging. There aren't a ton of high-profile NHL cases in the news in the last few days or in the last few years for tendinitis without a clear tear or surgery that match Pastrnak's situation. But there are general examples from athletes and how tendinitis tends to behave. In many sports, running, jumping, overuse sports, patellar tendinitis, jumper's knee is fairly common. Those cases often resolve in 3 weeks in mild form or 3 months plus in more serious ones. Then again, I don't think the Boston Bruins would say he's only going to be out for a couple days or possibly he's going to come back next week if it was serious. More broadly, according to the internet, medical sources say most people with tendinitis respond well to conservative treatment and are able to resume full activities within a few weeks to a couple months, assuming rest and rehab are properly managed. I couldn't find one example of a Boston Bruin sitting out training camp specifically for tendinitis without the exact same timeline, at least not publicly reported. So Pastrnak's case seems fairly routine in that sense. What this means for the Boston Bruins right now, in terms of practice/camp, missing a couple days of training camp is not ideal, especially for building chemistry, getting reps, adjusting to whatever new things the coaching staff wants, line combos, etc. But given Pastrnak's status and experience, presumably he'll be able to catch up fairly quickly. It does scare us a little bit because that was a lot of the excuses we heard last year, and we do have a new head coach. We do know that at the end of the year, Morgan Geekie, David Pastrnak, and Elias Lindholm played amazing together. So we know the chemistry is there. So that really doesn't worry me. And if Pastrnak is on the ice next week, really, it doesn't make a difference here. In terms of regular season, because the team says it anticipates he'll be back early next week for a full participation, the impact seems minimal. If that estimate holds, this doesn't look like something that will make him miss games, or at least not the start of the regular season. Now, there is always a small risk. If tendinitis is aggravated or his healing is rushed, there could be residual discomfort or lingering effects. For players like Pastrnak, who depend on explosiveness, quick cuts, shot release, etc., even slight discomfort could affect practice or performance, especially early in the season. Again, the reason I think the Bruins are having caution here. On the flip side, there is a benefit to being cautious. Now, avoiding pushing through is likely in his long-term interest. Training camp is less important than health once the games begin. Giving him a few days off might prevent a bigger issue later. Sweeney keeps talking about making the playoffs. You ain't making the playoffs if David Pastrnak ain't playing. Now, this is where I give my opinion. I gave you, medical examples and so on and so forth. Should we be worried? Based on the available info, no, I don't think fans need to panic. This seems consistent with the team's messaging. Short-term, conservative approach, expecting full involvement early next week. Heck, like I said, he was on the ice today. If Pastrnak is off for just a few days and then resumes full practice, that is well in line with what the mild tendinitis often looks like. If I had to guess, and this is all it is, I'd say he'll be back fully participating next week, as the team said. And this won't affect opening games. I understand, I saw people in the comments giving examples of other sports. The Boston Bruins usually say when a guy's been back. The only time we haven't got that it was with Hampus Lindholm. And I think because of the setbacks he had, because of the surgery he had to his kneecap, and the whole everything that was going on with the team last year, we got mixed messaging from the Bruins. So far, I have to take them at their word. Now, here's some things we should pay attention to in case things aren't going as smoothly. Does the team or Pastrnak mention swelling or reoccurring pain or needing extra rest beyond what was expected? If, say, Pastrnak starts the season and then we start seeing him miss practice because they're giving him a day off, as they call it, maybe we should start to get worried. When he returns to practice, is it limited at first? Is he skating but not doing full drills or contact or full shifts? If he's wearing a non-contact jersey right away, that could be an issue. Is there any signs early in exhibitions/practice games that he's holding back? Reports coming from coach or staff or GM that adjust the timeline. These are things that we should actually be worried about. Because again, if David Pastrnak isn't playing, the Boston Bruins are not making the playoffs. And I'm not saying they are, but if they have any chance, they need this man. In the end, David Pastrnak's tendinitis news looks like it's being handled in a smart, cautious way. Missing a few early practices is not ideal, but given his superstar status, his experience, and the team being up front, I believe this is a temporary setback, not something that derails anything. Unless there are signs of aggravation, I expect him back full tilt next week. Now, if you like this breakdown, hit the like, subscribe, share with other Bruins fans. In the comments, let me know. What are your concerns with this? Are you more worried than me, or do you think it's no big deal? I'll keep you updated as new info comes in. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.